Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session inspired by a song. Now, I don't do this very often because I feel like songs are relatively short pieces of content, normally about 3-4 minutes long, and you tend to get quite a bit of repetition in them. So it's quite difficult to create a hypnosis session entirely based on the lyrics. You have to really tap into the theme or the concept. Whereas if you've got a movie or a book that you're taking inspiration from, to create, 25-30 minutes worth of hypnosis from something that is much longer is easier to do because you can hone into the relevant parts of that, metaphorically speaking. This song is a song by a very talented artist called Sigrid. The song is called Basic, and when I heard this, there was two key principles or elements of the song that I thought would be useful. So one is this idea of the danger of getting too close. So almost like this protection feeling of almost vulnerability, that if people put too much of themselves into something, there is a real feeling of being exposed, of getting too close, of potentially experiencing pain or heartache or disappointment. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. So what can happen is that you can see something or someone or a goal that you really want and not put all of yourself in there because there's a concern of what if it doesn't go to plan? What if it doesn't work out? So there's that essence of the theme in there. The second is this idea of things getting complicated. And I think as humans, we can overthink things. We can overcomplicate things. So in essence, what the title of the song Basic relates to, because basic has a negative connotation, quite often, of being somehow, undesirable or very unclassy and things like that. But in this sense, I interpret it to mean simple, simplistic. So the opposite of complicated. So that's what the essence of this hypnosis session is going to be all about. If you want to get a copy of this without having to hear it through the podcast, you can get a free download on my website, adamcox.co.uk. Click the downloads section, use the coupon code FREE, and you can get this or any other hypnosis download completely free, just as a thank you for listening to the show. But for now, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed and listen to this short but impactful hypnosis session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a feeling of calm and resourcefulness, and as you exhale, just get a sense that you're letting go of any tension, fears, worries. As you breathe in and breathe out, if it's safe to do so, close your eyes, and with your eyes closed, just allow yourself to focus on more of my words, the sound of the words, and allow your mind to do what your mind does best, to translate frequencies, sound into meanings, and meanings into the possibility of changes. You're not the same person you were 6 months ago, and that version of you is not the same person you were a year before that, or perhaps 2 years before that. In fact, if the version of you right now met someone that was exactly you, but from several years ago, you would realize just how different you are. So although you're the same, you're constantly changing. And sometimes when we think about our lives and our decisions and the choices and weigh things up, it's easy to ask the question, am I crazy? Sometimes the human brain has the ability to feel sensations that you can't possibly feel. In reality, you can feel the feeling of being close to someone, even if they're 1,000 miles apart. You can have two different people in two different cities and still feel close to them, even though geographically they're very far apart. There isn't a human alive that hasn't been hurt, physically, emotionally, or just their ego getting bruised. And sometimes the lesson we learn from that, the key lesson that we learn is not to get too close. That somehow that vulnerability exposes us to pain. And part of that is true. But there's also another truth. I want you to get a sense that another truth is, what is the opposite of never ever getting too close? What if you saw the things that were appealing or desirable and yet just made the assumption that it would be a stupid thing or a foolish thing to do and therefore never even attempt? And one of my favorite ways of thinking about things is that you either win or you learn. Either things happen the way you want them to, or you get some kind of insight, wisdom, experience that you could only get from doing the very thing. What if you never ever played a game on the basis that you weren't guaranteed to win? You would miss out on the enjoyment of that game, but you also would miss out on the opportunity to get better at that game. And life is just infinite possible games within games. Each game has its own rules. Each game has its own definition of winning. Each game creates different emotions and sensations. And the more you play the game, the better you get at those games. And you can play a game and lose. But what if the only real definition of losing is not playing the game to begin with? So if you looked at a situation in your life and asked yourself, are you feeling stupid? Maybe asking someone else if they're feeling stupid too. Deep down, hoping inside yourself that I'm not the only fool. I want you to imagine that feeling something and not exploring where that feeling can take you. Isn't that just like seeing a magnificent creature and caging it, not allowing it to explore its existence, its possibilities? And what if, at its essence, things that can be interpreted to be so complicated could actually be very simple, very basic? And the key to it is to distill it to the raw intentions linking it to the values that you value most. And then thinking, what do you have to gain and what do you have to lose? The soul, the heart, the mind is more resilient than you will ever know. And if deep down you believe that your capacity for resilience is infinite and that you get stronger through any experience, then doesn't it just make sense to follow your intuition, to follow your heart for those things that feel like they could be magical for you, with no guarantee that what you want to happen will happen, but still making it basic and simple enough for you to say, if things happen the way you want them to happen, what's the payoff? And if they don't, then you're still guaranteed wisdom and experience, memories and lessons. And what if the most simple way of thinking about things is simply that life is for living, that at its most basic level, the only way to fail at the game of life is not to play it, to avoid everything and everyone. And if you dive into those games of life, you're guaranteed emotions, experiences. And in the board game of life, the only way to truly lose is to never roll the dice. And even if you roll the dice, you're not guaranteed to win. But at least there's a possibility each and every time you throw those dice. Whereas if you never throw the dice, you won't win and you're guaranteed to lose. If losing means the absence of what you truly want to happen. And thinking in this way that there is no guarantee, particularly in the world of human relationships. It's not possible to second guess every person, every emotion, every intention, every possibility. In fact, trying to second guess everything that someone could be thinking or doing or wanting or needing, isn't that giving you a sense of feeling stupid, feeling like you're a fool? Creating infinite complications and variables where, at its essence, the idea that you can just choose to live, choose to pursue what you want to pursue with no guarantee. And sometimes you can't know your part in someone else's story. But what if you don't need to? What if this is your book, your story, and you don't need to have anyone else's story? I want you to get a sense that in that context, the only way to lose is to not try. So open your mind to a different possibility. That at its most basic, simple level, life is for living. Opportunities are there to be taken. Better to attempt something and make decisions on what actually happens than second guess all the different variables and never even attempt it. If you don't want to run away from someone or something, then why do it? Just to protect emotions? Anxiety quite often is experiencing a feeling of negative anticipation for something in the future that hasn't even happened yet. Every day, people are feeling horrible emotions for things that quite often will never happen anyway. So if your mind is going to make you feel bad anyway, doesn't it make sense to go all out and do the things that you want to do? To be basic, to be simple. To think about the most important things, the most important intentions, the most important feelings, the most important things that make you happy or make you feel good, and pursue those. And what would that be like? To just put all those complications to the side and live life in a very basic way. To follow your heart, to follow your intuitions, to do the things you want to do. You don't have to play by anyone else's rules. You don't have to live up to anyone else's expectations. What if the real simple, basic thing to do is to listen to your own intuition, to do those things that make you feel good, and to learn life lessons when anything doesn't go to plan. To be an old soul, to tap into the infinite wisdom around you. To not cage your emotions, your goals, your feelings, but keep things basic. Decide what you want and pursue what you want, knowing that there are no guarantees. And in doing so, don't be surprised if good things happen more often, but also more painful things happen as well. Only from this point forwards, pain will make you stronger, mistakes will make you wiser, and in doing so, your life will evolve so that you don't need to go through life blindfolded. Don't need to worry about crashing into people or things. No way to worry about controlling or excuses, but just to be real. To move those complications into something so much more simple and basic. And in doing so, allowing your life to move forward, working for you rather than against you, giving you a chance to win your own personal game of life. As you now return to the present in your own physical body, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Get a sense that you're in your own physical body right now. As I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will awaken feeling like life is simpler, easier, more basic, but also more compelling. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.